I think you should exercise restraint, Your Grace.
Why?
When the people rose in revolt against him, your father set their towns and castles aflame. He murdered sons in front of their fathers. He burned men alive with wildfire and laughed as they screamed. And his efforts to stamp out dissent led to a rebellion that killed every Targaryen, except two.
What's the deal, my people? You know it is Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you another one. And this one is just when we thought the long night had come. Just when we thought that our watch had ended permanently. HBO gives us a reprieve from walking that green mile, because first they announced that the prequel series, Blood Moon, was not gonna happen. They said it was whack. They did not think that this spin-off would work, and it was not worthy of Game of Thrones. And if you're a fan of my channel, you know that I said that this was gonna happen months ago, that they were not gonna go through with this, even though they shot the pilot. So you would not be shocked if you're a fan of my channel about that news. So make sure you subscribe and click that bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new Game of Thrones video. But from those ashes, the phoenix has risen, because right on Twitter, we seen HBO announce that a new Game of Thrones prequel series has been announced and ordered 10 episodes, so we don't have to deal with the pilot. We know that this is coming out, and this is called House of the Dragon. And I broke that story to the YouTube world last night on the live stream. That's why it's very important that you click that bell when you do subscribe, so you can be notified every time I go live. The prequel is written by Ryan Connolly with George R.R. Martin, set to co-executive produce. The project is based on Martin's 2019 book, Fire and Blood, and it will be a history of House Targaryen as they fight through a civil war. The 10-episode project is set 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones. Now, it appears that the part of the reason HBO pushed forward with this House of the Dragon is because of the established history penned by Martin to serve as a backbone for this story, and the other work that they had for George R.R. Martin that they were using to do the Blood Moon was very vague, and they did not have a true story penned by George R.R. Martin. That is why they pushed forward with this. And why not? When you look at the first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones, which George R.R. Martin had something to do with, those were the best stories that we got in this whole series. Now, the goal is to eventually have the events of this new series lead up to the Dance of Dragons, which is a major moment in the Seven Kingdoms where all-out civil war breaks out between House Targaryen. And this is a great time in the book and the lore of Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, because we have many dragons. We don't just have the 3 dragons that we have during the Game of Thrones. We have a whole bunch of dragons, which means we will have a whole bunch of dragon fights, dragon versus dragon fights, dragon rider versus dragon rider fights. We have people leaping off the back of dragons, landing on other dragons, stabbing people with their swords. It's a great time. All Song of Ice and Fire fans wanted to see something like this, and we are so happy that we finally are getting this. The Dance of Dragons was a massive civil war for the succession between 2 rival branches of House Targaryen, fought over 170 years before the War of the Five Kings. It's called the Dance of Dragons by singers because it's the only time in popular memory where dragons fought on each side against each other. It was also the first full civil war to ever take place in the Seven Kingdoms. During this dance, brothers fought brothers, Targaryens fought Targaryens. Everybody picked a side in the Seven Kingdoms, and many people died. Now, the fight for the Iron Throne was between Rhaenyra Targaryen and her half-brother Aegon for the control of the Seven Kingdoms. Both of them thought they had the rightful claim to the Iron Throne. But when people started picking sides for one of them or the other, this is when the Civil War broke out. And when it was all said and done, it was a disaster for House Targaryen because they never truly recovered after this the power that they had built all the way from the beginning of Aegon's conquest. They basically self-imploded and self-destructed by them fighting each other and using all their dragons versus each other. They basically wiped out each other before a victor was awarded the Iron Throne. And they never came back to the same strength that they ever came back to after that, because ever since then, after they wiped out just about all their dragons, when they tried to hatch new dragons, the dragons never grew to the size of these dragons that they originally had. They never had the same strength or the might of the dragons, and this made them vulnerable throughout the Seven Kingdoms. And this is why they went to wildfire to try to reclaim their power and dominance over the Seven Kingdoms, but they never got the same respect or fear from the people when the dragons were gone. Because why would you fear them? Because the fear that they built was that the dragons can come over here and just destroy not just your house, not just your family, but I'm saying destroy your whole town, destroy your whole city, destroy your whole way of life. Just wipe it right out. And when they lost the dragons, they lost the power to do that. Now it says in the article that they want to build to A Dance with Dragons. So they're going to start before that. We don't know exactly how far before that, but I would think that they will go all the way back to the Doom of Valyria and Aegon's conquest and go through all the Dornish wars and him conquering the Seven Kingdoms, and then probably have a flash forward to his ancestors sitting on the Iron Throne, which will lead to the Dance of Dragons. That's how I think it's going to play out. And I think if they do this right, I'm not going to go on the record and say that this could be more successful than Game of Thrones, but I think it could reach the same level because you have more interesting characters, you have more dragons, you have more dragons, you have more dragons. And that's what the fandom wants to see. They want to see dragons, they want to see dragon battles, they want to see backstabbing, they want to see betrayal. You get all of this. It's a much more bloodier time than we see in the events of Game of Thrones, and a lot more people die. So I think that this could be the Frasier to Game of Thrones Cheers, if you get what I'm saying. It could be a show that could be considered better than Game of Thrones if they do this right. The fact that George R.R. Martin is on board with this show makes me believe that it will be done right. They have all the history. They have all the book stuff. There's not going to be any guessing. There's not going to be anything made up to try to fill in the gaps. You have the guy who wrote the story right there every step of the way, pushing this forward. And I think we may be able to get 7 to 8 seasons of this as long as it's done right. But I think it will be. So you tell me in the comment section what you think. Are you happy that they are doing this House Targaryen prequel? Let me know. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe notification, and click that bell so you can be notified, because I'm going live this Friday with a Halloween live stream, and we're going to talk more about it. So make sure you're there and join in the conversation. We're going to delve more into it, get into more detail. We're probably going to go for a couple of hours, so get ready. Here it comes, the Game of Thrones prequel. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.